Hello, I'm Jane from Loopy's Place, and I thought this time I'd come and explain and talk through the project that I've made for the Celebrations series of blogs that you'll be able to read here on UKQU. I decided to do baby socks. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do, but out of the choices, that was the one that spoke to me the loudest, possibly because we've sort of, people around us had a bit of a baby boom recently, so looking for gifts to do for them, it seemed an appropriate subject to do. So I decided to do use applique. Now I've got all the pieces that I cut out at home ready to be doing the pattern for you, which you'll be able to get. I put a link under the video for you so that you can go and find it. But I did find out, see where I cut it out, you can see here. Drew a sock shape, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to do a band across the top. I wanted to do a contrasting heel and toe. So I've drawn out on, this is template plastic, so I drew the sock. I also did a separate piece for this bit, which is the cuff, and I also did separate pieces for the heel and the toe. Now when it comes to layering it up, I layered on top of the fabric that I cut for the sock. Just gives a feeling of depth to your piece as well. So I cut out my pattern on template plastic, and then I transferred it onto Bonder Web. So you want a lightweight one, you don't want it too thick. And then basically I had to raid my fabric stash, as I didn't want to get anything new, just wanted to use a grey background. Going back to my framing days, grey, a bluey grey was always the matte of choice when it came to baby photos. So I thought if I had a grey background, and then I found two fabrics that would go together and form a nice contrast. So I had this movie polka dot fabric, which I thought would be great for socks, and I've used this plain darker one as the contrast. So out of this fabric I cut the main sock plus the cuff. So it was just as if the pattern of the sock had been folded over, so it didn't matter if the fabric didn't line up. It was just to give that feeling of a folded over top of your sock. I layered up my socks separately, so I layered up my cuff onto the top, and then my heel and toe bonded onto the main sock piece before adding it to the background. So what have I done with it? There we go, let's show you how I've done it. So you can see where I've added the contrast in toe and heel, and at the top here where I've put the cuff. So it just gives, when you can see it closely, some texture. I've used a blanket stitch to stitch around my pieces, so I've stitched around the heel, the toe and the outline of the sock, and I've also done the around the cuff area as well. And an extra bit I've done as well, I've added some stitching, straight line stitching down to mimic a rib. So that was all done on my backing fabric, and then I thought, what am I going to do with it? Some ideas if you're going to do this. I could use it as a wall hanging. I thought you could do baby in letters and applique those. If you have a name and a date, it's nice to be able to do it that way, make it personalised. So then you could do it as a wall hanging, or you could do it as a cushion to welcome the new baby. Of course, you can choose your own colours to match. As part of a quilt, you could use lots of different colours. I like your lemons and your minties, mint greens, and the blues and yellows all in together would make a lovely quilt too. But for this, it was a frame that I got from Hobbycraft. It's a deep frame, so I took it apart and using some mountboard, I cut it to fit the frame. I covered it with cotton wadding, so just a thin layer of wadding. I had backed my fabric there with wadding as well, and I just did a line of stitching around the sock as a quilting, just to give more depth to it. So in the frame it looks nice and padded and that. So then it was a matter of putting it back into the frame and closing the frame. So that's just another way. In the pattern you'll find the details of how to make your block. I will put the design there so you can use that to print off, and you can put it onto template plastic if you like, or trace around it and cut it off on card to use as your template to put onto your Wonder Web. Now remember, we've got the socks going a different direction, so when you come into drawing out your template, remember you want one going that way and one going that way, unless you want them both the same. I altered the level a bit just to give it a bit more fun. It gives an idea of walking feet, so you can place it any way that you like. I will put the details in there for a 12-inch block finished. What I would recommend is that you cut your fabric bigger, do your applique and your quilting, then trim back to size. That's probably the best way to go to make sure that you've got the size that you want afterwards. If you have a go at making these, love to see what you do with them. I'm sure you will find lots of other ideas of how you can use this as well. And what a great way to be able to welcome a friend's baby into the world. It's something unique and special for them. So I hope you enjoy making it, and I look forward to seeing your pictures soon, and speak to you very soon. Bye for now.